Joining us this morning, Titania Jordan.
Tatiana Jordan. Did I get the name right? Jordan?
Titania.
Titania. Okay. All right.
It's Titania Jordan. I am so excited to have Armistead Whitney, CEO of AppTiga, right here in studio. And BT Dubs, he also is a UGA grad, was celebrating that little fact today as well. Thank you so much for being here.
It's great to be here.
And tell everybody what AppTiga does.
AppTiga is a software company that makes cybersecurity easy for businesses around the world. And it's about a $200 billion cybersecurity market that we're disrupting. And we're very excited to be based here in Atlanta down at the ATDC as a new high-growing, fast-growing company. And what we do is we help organizations build, manage, and report cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity is a very long and sort of misunderstood topic.
It's a rabbit hole that we could dive into, but it's really great that you are making it easier for companies to not have to literally fall in the rabbit hole.
Well, we do, and the genesis of AppTiga came from sort of my path as being an entrepreneur, where I have another company, a software company that helps businesses prepare for threats such as terrorism and natural disasters, and we have a software product for sort of incident management.
Okay.
And our customers are, for example, Family Dollar, Bain Capital, Groupon, and when I was meeting with a lot of these executives over the last few years, they kept asking me, well, you're helping me manage crisis situations like these. What can you do to help me organize and manage my cybersecurity program? And when you hear that about 100 times, you say, well, as an entrepreneur, I think there must be another business opportunity.
Absolutely. So
I created AppTiga really to help businesses manage cybersecurity so they can protect their data, their customers' data, and really help protect the entire world from these threats, because so much data is being hosted and managed by businesses. So if we can protect businesses, then we're also actually protecting you and me.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to pull up your LinkedIn profile because it has a really great outline. So many people do LinkedIn wrong. Like, you should look at Armistead's profile. He does it right. But you have a really great outline of the value prop that AppTiga holds.
Right.
While I'm pulling that up, will you give some insight? We were talking off camera just about what happened at Equifax. What happened?
Yeah, so so when we had the idea to start AppTiga, one thing I did is I gathered together global technology executives from around the world and brought them together, and I started asking them, what can we do to help make it easier for you to manage your cybersecurity program? And what we concluded was that the issue was not a lack of cybersecurity technology, things that can prevent hacks and things like that. It was a lack of the ability to organize your program and manage it because it's become so complex. And what we found out is that a lot of businesses use hundreds, if not thousands, of Excel spreadsheets to manage what they're supposed to do around cybersecurity, who's supposed to do it and when, and manage that program. Well, Excel was invented in 1985, and it's time for an upgrade.
It doesn't have built-in notifications that will ping your smartphone like, hey, there's a problem.
So what our product does is, let's say you're regulated, and a lot of businesses are regulated. For example, if you take credit cards, you need to follow something called PCI. It's a PCI standard, which is what Target and Equifax both have to follow as well. PCI has around 300 standards you've got to follow as a business. Things like how you manage your passwords, how you update your software, how you train your employees, what your policies should say. And these are all things that, as consumers, we want these businesses to do really, really well. Well, the problem is that as you have these several hundred things you have to do, and you're managing them on one-dimensional Excel spreadsheets with very little intelligence built in, you're going to see problems. So, for example, with Target, it wasn't that Target didn't have great cybersecurity technology. Is they had an HVAC vendor that they didn't check their cybersecurity. The HVAC vendor got into their system just doing their normal part of their job. The hackers got into the HVAC system, then got into Target. What would have prevented that? Really good vendor management, which it means who's managing our vendors at Target? What are our vendors' security profiles? Are we safe with our vendors? With Equifax, it was they didn't patch a software upgrade that they were supposed to. Equifax's policy, and the CEO went on record saying this, the policy said that when they get a Tier 1 patch alert, patch it within 48 hours. because it's a very sensitive area of their infrastructure. Well, many months went by. And it might have been a lack of accountability. Who was in charge of this? Or someone just forgot, or they just didn't make it a priority. So it's a lack of the ability to manage and structure your cybersecurity program that really is a big, big problem. And that's what AppTiga does, is you can select a framework, let's say PCI, it lays out all those things you need to do, and you can assign accountability, create alerts, upload documentation to give instructions, have calendaring, manage your vendors, and see real-time scoring on how you're doing in all those different areas. So anybody that has permission at Equifax can log in and see where they are, where the needle's pointing as far as their compliance. And
you've highlighted a few key areas that are glaringly obvious that corporations, large and small, need to look at ASAP. You know, a few things. A lot of times it's an inside job, and not a malicious one. It's a lack of proper protocol. Also process. Where's the hole in the process? You know, if it's supposed to be patched within 48 hours, how could 6 months go by? Where's the accountability? That's where technology comes into play.
Right.
So it's not like you said that the technology doesn't exist. It's not like there's a million hackers out there just like trying to get in. It's more of just human error, but AppTiga and technology can help with that problem.
If you look at the cybersecurity industry, it really started around Y2K, where IT executives were sort of scrambling to manage the clock of the year turning. What's happened is cybersecurity is now an enterprise-wide initiative. It's not just IT. It's not just those guys or gals down in the corner that are just doing bits and bytes. It's every employee. HR has to play a role, like you said, background checks on employees. It's training your employees.
It's issued, any company issued device, you know, password protected, shut down immediately. Like you've got to protect the house.
Well, and as the hackers get more sophisticated, you know, rogue nations, insiders, people looking to do ransomware to get paid by locking out your systems, they're getting more sophisticated. And what it means is just that IT teams and organizations don't have enough people, enough tools, enough way to even figure out what to do and when. And you couple that with the fact there's a lack of security talent in the marketplace. In fact, Monster.com did a survey last year that there were 50,000 unfilled security jobs just in the US alone, over 1 million unfilled globally.
Wow.
What that means is it means that companies don't have enough people to reach their security goals, to even, if you're PCI compliant for credit cards, even being able to implement those several hundred measures. So all these things kind of coming into play at once, with the hackers getting more sophisticated, with the lack of you know, manpower and women power in the office to help them do it, means that hackers are now winning. They're winning the battle. And for now, and we hope to change that. AppTiga, we're going to change that.
Yeah, good. So according to your LinkedIn profile, why AppTiga? Managing a cybersecurity program is difficult. We have just talked about that. Lots of elements there. Time-consuming, expensive, and confusing. How does AppTiga fix that element of the problem?
Well, it's really simple. What we do is we allow a business of any size. You could be a law firm with 100 people. We're also working with global Fortune 200 companies, where you pick a direction for your cybersecurity program. And if I'm regulated, let's say I take credit cards, I need to follow PCI. If I'm in healthcare, I follow HIPAA. Oh, HIPAA. So the great thing is that there are playbooks out there that companies can follow. These are vetted and created by worldwide security experts. So our product literally has a drop-down that lets you select, you know, which framework or playbook do you want to follow. Now, if you don't have a framework to follow, let's say you're not regulated, the system will automatically create one for you, you know, based on your industry, your risk posture, even your budget. You know, even if you only have, you know, $50,000 to spend on security, here's probably the best place for you to focus. So the system, AppTiga, creates that roadmap. And then we allow you to assign responsibility. So are there people internally that need to play a role in managing that security issue? Is it someone in HR or finance or IT? Do you also have a vendor that plays a role? You have a vendor that's doing background checks or monitoring your network or your devices. You put them in the system. And then you set up ways to manage all that on an annual, monthly, quarterly basis, where the system will tell you, hey, it's the end of the month, you need to do a penetration test, which means, you know, try to break into your network.
Yes.
That's something that you can do. Or hey, it's March, it's time to train your employees because that's what your program says. And then what it all rolls up to is, you know, just awesome reporting. So at the end of the day, you're only as good as your ability to report what you're doing. So AppTiga has the ability to show your board of directors, your customers, auditors, anyone that says, hey, show me your cybersecurity program. With one click, they can show, here's our entire program, here are the key initiatives we're doing, here's who's doing what, here's our real-time compliance scoring, so we're working on these areas to improve to get to 100%.
That's such a win.
And it sounds simple, but it's very complicated on the back end to make all of that work. And that's what we've done in the software.
That's okay. When you are a software company, your goal is to make the consumer-facing element as simple to understand as possible. But obviously, the back end, there's a heck of a lot that goes into such an intense level of security. Let's talk about the regulatory environment and threat landscape. You say it's constantly changing, and so how does AppTiga make sure that your software is always in compliance?
So the threats are always changing globally, and also the regulations are changing. Another thing that we're seeing that's happening is even if you're not regulated in your business, some of your customers are asking a lot of questions about your cybersecurity. So you do need to have answers.
Right.
So what AppTiga does is we have a team of certified cybersecurity experts in these different certification areas, like for retail, healthcare, financial services. So as regulatory guidelines change and as threats change, they're issuing guidance to our customers, and we're updating their programs for them.
Love it.
So a lot of big organizations have what's called a CISO, a Chief Information Security Officer.
Yep.
Those are mostly Fortune 500 companies, but you go down from that to, again, law firms with 200 employees or community banks. A lot of them don't have CISOs. So while we're not going to be that, on-the-ground person, our product, AppTiga, really helps them organize that. So you don't really need a CISO necessarily to be able to manage and organize your security program. And that's one of the great things we do is we can work with almost any size company. That's
awesome. I feel like we're putting a lot of check marks in the win column today. So I'm very, very glad about that. That is always, the goal for the day. We've talked about the fact that every company, large or small, is now being audited in cybersecurity. The amount of data that we're all collecting no longer precludes us from focusing on that. And then we also talked about how CIOs, they are now called on to report to what they're doing in real time. So AppTiga helps with that. I can't believe that certain companies of scale are really using Excel spreadsheets still for and I love Excel. I'm the biggest Excel nerd. I'm so thankful for it, but for cybersecurity?
Well, if you think about how do companies manage a lot of data?
Yeah.
One of the first things they do is they pull up that Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
And once you start sort of going down that road, unless there's an easier way to manage that data, then you create 100 Excel spreadsheets, 200 Excel spreadsheets, and what happens if someone leaves the organization? There's no central place to manage that data. And so really Excel data, we sort of call it, dumb data, right? You can't do much with it.
Yeah.
So we just bring a lot of intelligence to that data, a lot of collaboration, so that really businesses can focus on what they need to do, which is serve their customers versus being in the cybersecurity business. And that's what our customers tell us every single day, is that we make them more efficient. We're giving them more visibility in their level of protection. We're helping them invest in the right areas. So it's really an exciting business to be in, and our goal is to disrupt the $200 billion cybersecurity business as fast as possible.
Well, I'd say you're on your way, and I'm really excited that you are located right here in Atlanta. I love what is happening with our burgeoning tech scene, whether it's fintech, cybersecurity, et cetera. It's so great that people like you are investing in building your companies and scaling them right here.
Atlanta is one of the top 3 cybersecurity epicenters in the world. There's so many great companies that came before us. ISS is one that comes to mind.
Wow.
But there's so much great talent here for security, and there's also a lot of great companies and corporations that like working with companies like us really easily. So it's a great place to start the business. Then our affiliation with Georgia Tech and being located at the Technology Square is great because we're tapping into a lot of those resources as well.
It's great. It's such a wonderful time to be in technology in Atlanta. So AppTiga is committed to making cybersecurity easier and more accessible for everyone. So great. What's next? What's on the horizon?
Well, we have really big ideas with this business.
Good.
And the feedback we're getting from our customers is phenomenal. In fact, it's very difficult for us to even keep up with all the new sales coming in because it is one of the fastest growing industries. We've learned that for us to grow quickly, We can't build a company fast enough just to go and sell and work with one customer at a time. So we're forging a lot of partnerships that bring distribution that are really anxious to get their hands on this great product.
Yeah.
So one in town, for example, is called Dynasys. Dynasys is a managed service provider, very well known in this community. They have several hundred customers. Many of them are regulated, for PCI and HIPAA. And Dynasys is already providing a lot of the sort of value chain of security, and they're managing a lot of security for their customers. Well, Dynasys loves AppTiga because they can help manage that entire security program for their customer through the AppTiga dashboard.
Wow.
So they can kind of go in as that sort of outsourced security partner and help keep their customers, secure and on track. And so we really see, the scale that we can bring with other companies like Dynasys, and there's probably 5,000 or 10,000 other MSPs around the country like Dynasys that we want to start selling through in order to reach all these companies at once. So we're very excited about those growth plans, and we'll be making some more announcements soon on that.
That is very exciting. Are you on Twitter? Like, how do you?
I am.
You are good. And what's your Twitter handle?
At Armistead W.
Okay.
And AppTiga is at AppTiga.
Great.
And we have a great website with a lot of information, blogs.
Yep, apptiga.com. That's AppTiga.com. So please go to their website, follow Armistead, follow AppTiga. Yeah, we will be watching you in the most non-creepy way possible.
Sounds great. We look forward to it.
Great. Well, Armistead, thank you so much for being here, and we'd love to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great.